Now that we're done, I'm done. It's over. We have officially caught up with everything that Miura wrote. So now we're going to rank them. I don't even think I need to think about it that hard. It's just, it's self-evident which ones are better than the other ones, right? Let's get right into it. These are all of the Berserk arcs, and I'm going to rank them from worst to best. First things first, make this real easy. Get the absolute worst of the worst of all of the arcs out of the way right off the bat. I don't think anyone's really arguing about this one. I think most people can agree that the weakest of all of the arcs is going to be the Black Swordsman. In hindsight, no, I think I gave it about, I was going to say I didn't give it enough credit. I think I gave it about as much credit as it honestly deserves. It's definitely the weakest. It's definitely the poorest in terms of characterization. It's definitely the weakest in terms of story. Everything about it's just the weakest of all the arcs. I forget what I gave it. I think I gave it a 7, and I think that's about fitting. I think I'd keep it. Did I give it a 7? Damn it, now I need to look. But as of right now, I'm sitting on a 6 or a 7 for the Black Swordsman arc. Was it better? I was just getting ready to give it a 7. Yeah, I think I'll bump that up. That seems a little harsh, doesn't it? I'm going to bump it up to a 7. Not a huge bump, but it's a little bump. Everything might go up a hair here, just so if you're keeping track and you're paying attention. Anyway, now, with the Black Swordsman out of the way, what's next? This was a hard decision. If I'm being honest, all of this was hard. Putting these in order is really not easy. The worst and the best were easy because there's no question as to what is the worst and there's no question as to what is the best. But everything in between, wow, this took a lot more effort than I expected it to. Now, second to last, I'm gonna have to say Millennium Falcon. And I feel like that's a controversial decision to put that one on the bottom. But that's where it's gonna go. It had some great highs. Oh my God, some of the highs were so high. But some of the lows in that one were kind of lower. It felt very inconsistent in its overall quality that it delivered. And it was far better than the Black Swordsman, so don't think that this is like down there with the Black Swordsman quality. But as far as some of the other arcs that we get, I just don't, wow, it's not quite up there with the other ones. If it weren't for the inconsistency of the quality of this one, it would have probably been maybe even number 2, but it wasn't consistent enough in its delivery. And I wasn't as happy with it overall as I was with some of the other ones. And I am going to go ahead and I'm going to give it an overall rating, and I'm going to give its overall rating at 8.5. Do with that information what you will. Now, after the Millennium Falcon arc, I'm going to have to go Fantasia. It was a lot better than I expected it to be. And I've said this before, and I think I get all the online discourse, and I've got my comment section, and everybody always says, oh, you're going to hate it when you get to Fantasia. He's going to not, all of this crap, Fantasia is just blah, 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 blah. And I got all this negativity that I was getting fed around Fantasia, and I was shocked at how good Fantasia was and how much I enjoyed Fantasia and how much more than, I shouldn't say how much because I just gave that one an 8.5, but more so, I enjoyed this one more so. Now, in all fairness, this one was a lot shorter than that one, and that might have been Falconia's problem. It might have just been too long, which is where I was getting those dips in consistency. This one was shorter, which made it easier for it to be consistent. Either way, I felt like Fantasia was an overall 9 of a read. Absolute 9. I'm very happy with it, and it goes as number 3 on the list. So that leaves 2 and only 2, and that is the Conviction arc and the Golden Age. I wonder which one's going to be number 1. Is this a question? Of course not. But that means that number 2 on the list, second best arc, in my opinion, is Conviction. And is that controversial? I don't know. It feels like when I was putting this list together, I was like, man, I feel like that shouldn't be number 2. But I can't put it anywhere else. It was my second favorite. I really, really like the Conviction arc. Like a lot. I love the climax of that. Get rid of the 1,000 God punched that douche Mosgus guy afterwards, and they fight the darkness and they make their stand on the wall, and it's so good. Griffith is nowhere to be found. We don't need him. To make a great Berserk arc, we don't need him. I don't say that to diss Griffith. I'm just saying you can get rid of him and you can have the second best arc in the whole manga. Period. I liked it that much. It was really that good. You got the lost children. I just really, really liked this one as a whole. It was I was gonna say it was a little bit darker, but I don't know if it's a little bit darker. It was just, you got the return of the Black Swordsman. Now, if the Black Swordsman was meh, then the return of the Black Swordsman, after having just finished the Golden Age, was the kick in the teeth that I needed. It was great. This was easily my number 2 pick for an arc, and I would rank it overall a 9.5. Now, that being said, we're going to get to the number 1 pick, and it's of course, the number 1 pick, and I forget what I ranked this one when I read it. It was like a 9 or a 9.5. I take it all back, and I'm officially giving the Golden Age a solid 10. It, for me, was a 10. The more I think about it, the more I look back on it, any time I refer back to it when I'm making a video, or I want to check something, or when I did that the greatest volumes video, and I had to go back through all of my deluxe editions, just opening the pages of the Golden Age gives me, and rereading certain sections or refamiliarizing myself with certain sections of it or certain chapters of it, all the warm and fuzzy feelings that I get just looking at some of the pages from that arc. I have to give it a 10. It can be no other number, at least for me in my read through and in my enjoyment. And it takes all of the big monster stuff and kind of just strips it out. It doesn't really, I mean, there's some in there, but it's mostly just a backstory of a boy and this group, and the relationships that we get in the original Band of the Hawk, I would argue, are developed faster, stronger, and better than some of the relationships that we get in the Millennium Falcon arc, but with the new group. And we do it in such an abbreviated time frame compared to the new ones. It takes so much longer to develop these relationships over here in, even Serpico and Shirka and all. They take literal arcs to get those relationships to work half as well as the relationships did in the Golden Age arc, just because of the sheer quality of writing. Now, at the same time, it's extremely fitting and it works perfectly well, because if you look at it from the perspective of like, we are Guts and we went through this trauma and it's going to take him that much longer to form these relationships, it's going to take us that much longer to form these relationships. So in a sense, that's just as good of writing and development as this was. But I can't, that being the new ones and this being the Golden Age, but that I can't help it. This is just my favorite. This is the arc to end all arcs. It was the Golden Age, and it is the best. Perfect 10. Anyway, everybody, as always, the link for my Discord's in the description below. The link for my Patreon's in the description below. There are plenty more videos here on the channel. Check out all the videos. Check out all the playlists. Follow me on Twitter. Thank you for watching. and I'll see you next time.